2, 1.
Hey, before we get into more of that, I do have a service announcement I have to get into. Last week, for last week's episode, I really have to apologize to all of our faithful listeners and viewers. You might remember I came back late from the break,
Yes.
and then there was no Tillamook Creamery sponsorship segment. So for that, I must apologize to everyone. I had to change 2 diapers, and also the pint of Tillamook ice cream sat out on my oven because I pulled it from the freezer. So that was cool.
Nice.
Anyway, we're gonna rectify everything, and we're just gonna get into it right away to the start. We've got Tillamook Creamery, chocolate, peanut butter ice cream, and I'm gonna eat this the whole time. I'm not even gonna talk about whatever the fuck we're doing. All right, back to you, Jack, in the studio.
Hey, thanks, Landon. Today we're going to be talking about the Game Boy Advance.
The Game Boy Advance. I love the Game Boy Advance.
Hell yeah.
You know, I went back to like our top games of all time list just to see or not top games, top systems of all time list. Because I was like, where did I put it? I only put it in 9th on mine. And I think if I were to update that today, that would not be that low. I'm pretty sure it would be much higher. For reference, Jack also had it in 9th. Justin and Landon had it higher.
I'm trying to think of what I had.
Where did I have it?
You had it in, I don't remember. One of you had it in 4th and one of you had it in 5th. I don't remember between you and Justin. So
I probably something tells me I might have had it higher than him, but
yeah, I think it was 9945 for like the placements, or 54.
Pixel Vixen says, "Hey, can you play Xmas Golf?" I told you, I don't even know what that holiday is until after the winter solstice, and then you have until midday Christmas Day for me to be actually celebrating it.
Yeah.
That's all you get. So you better hope a stream day for me happens that time.
Excuse me, I was hijacked. I capitalized my letters. Oh.
Pixel Vixen's significant other. Go.
Lennon, you had it in 4th.
Okay.
I had it in 4th?
Yeah.
I told you I'd have it higher because that shit slaps.
And we're going to get into it today. So the Game Boy Advance. Just a little bit of a fun fact. This system was supposed to come out a little bit earlier before it was supposed to. Then it ended up coming out, but Nintendo was not able to really get the tech working quite right. They had a thing called Project Atlantis, and they eventually gave us the Game Boy Color because they couldn't give us the Game Boy Advance at the time. Eventually, we finally got it, though, on June 11, 2001, and it was at a crisp price of $100 at launch. Like, at launch. You don't see that anymore, by the way.
Same price that the Game Boy launched at, too.
Also the same price that the Ouya launched at.
Oh, true.
That's a bad system.
No.
That's a bad system.
We do talk about the Ouya.
Can we strike that from the record?
We can strike that from the record.
Editor, strike that from the record, please.
Editor, can you censor us saying Ouya? Censor that too.
But the Game Boy Advance, it's pretty popular, well-known handheld. Didn't last too long before it was already had a successor out. It came out with 2 major revisions. One of those was after its successor came out because it had the Game Boy Advance SP, as we all know, in March 2003. But we also got the Game Boy Micro in September 2005. Yeah, that's a year the year after we got the Nintendo DS. So, but I did want to mention that because
can we talk about how unfortunate it is, how short of a lifespan this system technically had?
Yes.
Yeah.
2001 to 2004.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
it's
if we
not even 4 years.
If we want to get technical, while it was superseded by the Nintendo DS, they did try to the DS is the third pillar, and we did get notable Game Boy Advance releases, all the way in North America, again, as usual, until like February 2007 when we got Final Fantasy VI Advance. Like that was Nintendo's last, like Nintendo published that one for us over here. And that was the last Nintendo published game for the system was Final Fantasy VI Advance. Honestly, you're going out on FF6 Advance, pretty good note to end on. There were a couple games that came out later in 2007 and even like a couple in like early 2008. Spyro, whatever the newest Spyro game was at the time, I think it was one of the Legend of Spyro games. They had a Game Boy Advance version for some reason because they wanted it on everything. But most of the major stuff was already out by 2006. That's still kind of short. Like the system came out in mid 2001 and almost all the major games were out within 5 years. It's it's a little bit of like a Super Nintendo syndrome. Like it has a huge library of good games and yet only lasted like half a decade, not even.
Jack.
Yes.
Do you know what the last Game Boy Advance game to release in North America was?
Was it like Madden?
No. Arguably better than Madden.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it a Mary Kate and Ashley game?
Unfortunately, no. It's worse than that.
Damn.
But it is a licensed property, so you're
boy.
in.
I forgot what it was. I looked at this too.
Isn't it something weird like Flushed Away or something like that?
No. It for North America, it is Cars Mater National Championship.
Hell yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes
November
sense.
12th, 2007 for North America.
Yep.
All right.
And then Australia got like something in December called Gluco Boy, but we're not talking about that.
Gluco Boy.
And crazy to
What
reference.
are they playing down there?
So the Game Boy Advance is one of the lesser selling handhelds that Nintendo did. Now, of course, they lump the Game Boy Color and Game Boy together, so like take that as you will. But the Game Boy Advance only quote unquote sold 81.51 million units worldwide, which is a lot when you consider that almost all of that was sold in just 5 or 6 years. Like by 2007, 2008, sales were pretty much slowing to a crawl. There was like nothing. They discontinued it in 2010, but like that's pretty insane for 80 million units.
It's kind of crazy that the Game Boy Advance didn't get discontinued until the year before the 3DS came out.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, not really, but yeah, sort of. Like Nintendo is known for discontinuing their systems earlier than most, but this was a time when like they still had systems like for a while. Like then again, they did discontinue like the N64 and shit like that pretty early. Anyway,
I was gonna say like I don't really remember as a kid like seeing very many Game Boy Advances, like at least on like store shelves, very far beyond the release of the DS.
Especially the DS Lite. By the time the DS Lite came out, like they were not trying to sell anything else.
Yeah, like I'm surprised, like which is why it makes me think like I'm surprised it took them that long to discontinue the Game Boy Advance, especially when the DS was such a fucking like it's America's system.
Yeah,
as we know.
Game Boy Advance, one thing I really liked when I was like looking into it is it's one of those really quirky systems because like more than a lot of other systems we've already talked about, it had like a lot of like side shit that you could use with it. Like you had an e-reader that you could use. Did not take off over here all that well, just to be clear, but it existed. You have the Game Boy Advance link cable, since the Game Boy Color and Game Boy also had one. You had a link cable for the Game Boy Advance to the GameCube, so you can have like compatibility with certain games with that. There was a Game Boy Player, which was like the Super Game Boy, but instead it was for Game Boy Advance on GameCube, which was weird because you had to like have a disc to put it in the GameCube slot, and then also the Game Boy Advance cartridge in the Game Boy Player slot. Weird, but hey, you could do it. There was also Game Boy Advance Video, which were literally videos on Game Boy Advance cartridges compressed to high hell to fit on one.
Those are amazing.
You could watch Shrek.
You could watch Shrek. They had like episodes of Sonic X on GBA,
Dragon Ball,
like a bunch of
Dragon Ball.
Yeah, and there was also
a lot.
There was also the
I
classic.
have taken
Oh boy.
I've taken one of the Dragon Ball GT ones and played it onto a Retron.
Oh
Put
yeah.
it on like an HD TV.
Oh
It is
boy.
blown to high hell
Oh.
and looks glorious.
God.
Oh man.
And the Game Boy Advance also had the classic NES series where like they re-released NES games on cartridges as well.
My goodness.
So like
Those games are so like pretty overpriced for what you're getting.
wasn't
if
it
I'm
like
being honest.
$20 for a single NES game?
Yup.
Yep.
Yeah.
When
And you know
in a
who
time
owns...
when like the absolute maximum price for a Game Boy Advance game was like $35. Like most GBA games were retailed for like $30, but like some of the more high value like first party titles like Pokemon would be like $35.
Not even every Pokemon game either, because Ruby Sapphire did launch at 30.
Yeah.
So,
but I remember Emerald was 35 when that came out.
Yeah, actually, another peripheral packaged in with the Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, which also were $35, if I'm not mistaken. You had the wireless adapter, so you could
the wireless adapter.
It was only used with a small handful of games, and the only ones I know of are Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, Pokemon Emerald.
Yep.
I'm sure there's like maybe one or two other oddballs that decide to sneak in there, but that's the only ones I know.
That shit was like, that was groundbreaking technology when that came out, I swear.
Yeah.
Like it was a complete marvel to me as a kid when like all of my friends and I got our respective copies of either Fire Red or Leaf Green, and we could battle like further than like 3 feet away from each other.
And you could like move around. You didn't have to like rely on this cable that was like tethering you guys together. Like if one of you wanted to like go get up and get a sip of water from like the kitchen or something, like you could do it.
I think the range on it was pretty good too. I want to say it was like 30 feet.
And it like, this is for a different episode of the podcast, but like this was at a time when Nintendo was doing a bunch of stuff like that. Cause like they also gave us the Wavebird GameCube controller too. Like they were like, it wasn't just like an isolated thing for the Game Boy Advance. It was just kind of a platform they were doing this sort of thing with. So yeah. The Game Boy Advance was very experimental with all the weird, cool shit that it did. But like, I mean, it had a lot of interesting stuff that you could do with it, and it had a massive library. You had a lot of new IP or new games on there from old series. There was lots of ports and remakes, not just classic NES series, but like you had like Super Nintendo caliber games getting ported to the system. A lot, actually. I mean, literally the last major Nintendo published title was Final Fantasy VI Advance. So like, it was kind of a thing that they did. There was various Final Fantasy games, various Super Mario games. We never got like a big 2D mainline Mario game on the system that wasn't like a port. We didn't get like a new one. That's like one of the things that like a lot of people tend to remember about the system is that it didn't have one of those. But I mean, you still had fresh games in other series. You had a new Zelda, you had a new Kirby, you had a remake of a previous Kirby game that also made it over. You had Advance Wars, you had the introduction to a wider audience of that, and Fire Emblem. These were two series that had not left Japan before. We finally got them. You had new IP like Golden Sun. There was the new games like the Spyro trilogy and the Sonic Advance trilogy, which were originally like, competitor mascots, which made their way to the platform with a bunch of games as well. And there was more Spyro games than that and Sonic games than that on the system. It's just that like those are like the two major, like each of those has like a trilogy that's like people associate with more. And of course you had Pokemon at probably one of its best with that generation. So like, yeah. Let's talk about it.
You know what's funny? I always pull up the list of whenever we do a console retrospective, I always pull up the list of the best-selling games on that console just to like kind of have like a list of names to look at and like bring up topics up. I'm scrolling down and I noticed that like in the top 20 best-selling GBA games, there are only 2 that are not published by Nintendo. Do you want to guess what they are? I don't think you could.
I have
best
the list
selling,
up, so
like totally best selling.
They are Yu-Gi-Oh! The Eternal Duelist Soul.
I should have expected that, honestly.
And Finding Nemo. Finding Nemo is 17th on the highest selling Game Boy Advance games, sold 1.8 million copies and sold more than Donkey Kong Country, The Legend of Zelda The Minish Cap, Golden Sun, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, and Metroid Fusion.
That's insane. I will
That is
say
insane.
I was
And Sonic Advance.
I was not expecting Finding Nemo, though I should have, because Finding Nemo was a big movie when the Game Boy Advance was relevant.
Yeah.
I expected Yu-Gi-Oh, but I wasn't expecting it that high. Because I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh, when the Eternal Duelist sale came out, that was when Yu-Gi-Oh was like the phenomenon. So I expected a Yu-Gi-Oh game.
I think you missed 2 games though, Jack, because there's 2 Namco release games.
Oh, I did miss the Namco games. My bad.
So there's
they have
4 games.
Technically 4. I was just
What are the
looking
2
at
Namco titles?
Pac-Man Collection and Namco Museum.
And Namco Museum was a launch title too.
Which I had both of those games actually as a kid.
And bringing those back up, they are the reason why the NES Classic series for this fucking system is such a ripoff.
Yeah,
because those are 4 Namco games in each on each cartridge.
Yeah.
Why the fuck couldn't you do something similar with the NES Classic?
Yeah.
No, they just wanted fucking money.
Honestly.
Exactly. Yeah, because the NES, the classic NES series, it was mostly first-party Nintendo stuff, but there were a few third-party games that were in there that also got they were like arcade games. It was like, I can't remember which ones it was, but like there was a couple where it was like you could have just packaged some of these together.
Let me see. Here's the list.
I was expecting Sonic Advance.
They did have they had a ton that released in Japan that we never got.
Yeah,
which is unfortunate because there's some
decent stuff. There's a lot of them that they put out in Japan, but not America. We got Super Mario Brothers, Donkey Kong, Ice Climber. Like, imagine paying $20 for Ice Climber. That's ridiculous. Excite Bike, The Legend of Zelda, Pac-Man, Zevis.
Exactly. There it is, Pac-Man. Literally, the first Pac-Man game is one of those games. I was like, dumb. I want to say, I never got any of the Game Boy Advance video or classic NES series cartridges. So like,
I never got any of the classic NES games, but I did have the Super Mario Advance titles, which was something completely different.
Yeah.
Where they were like pseudo remakes of older Mario games for Game Boy Advance.
It's weird. So like they're kind of remakes, but at the same time they are also mostly just re-releases of the individual All-Stars versions of those games from the Super Nintendo versions.
If anything, they're remasters.
Yeah. The only difference is that like for the first Super Mario Advance, which was Super Mario Brothers 2, and Mario Advance 2, which is Super Mario World, at least those two, they upped the brightness of the color palette, because at the time it was the original Game Boy Advance model. This was before the SP. Fun fact, the Game Boy Advance has a lot of games early on where like they washed the colors out and made everything brighter in order to display better on the system screen, because this was before we had the front lit one.
That was definitely that was very common among early Game Boy Advance games, where the colors just look super washed out because they had to make everything really, really bright.
Yeah.
So people could see the damn game when they're playing it.
But yeah, for the most part, the Super Mario Advance series, it was both like, it was a re-release, like a port of the Super Nintendo version, but then they also have like that Mario Brothers. And I think the Mario Brothers was a remake that they like put on all 4 of these, because I don't remember that one existing before then. So that was, I guess, their way of like giving us Mario Brothers remade, like not Super Mario Brothers, Mario Brothers remade. They just gave it to us 4 times and then attached another game to it. They're like, here you go.
Hell yeah.
Please play this game. But yeah, Game Boy Advance. What was your guys' first Game Boy Advance, by the way?
First Game Boy Advance was the shit. I don't know if it was silver or gray, but it was like the off-white one. We'll say silver.
Was it the regular model?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was standard model. I got it for Christmas I think I've talked about this on the podcast before. I got it for Christmas in 2001.
Okay, yeah,
And
you
that
did.
was the first system I was ever like gifted as a child. That was my like introduction to video games outside of just like watching my cousins play video games as a young child.
Yeah, I was coming off of the Game Boy Color, so like I already had established myself as like with handheld gaming at the time. But I remember I got mine for Christmas also in 2001, and that was how I was given a copy of Monsters Inc. with it. I spent a lot of my early time with the system. I got the Indigo one. That was the one that the system launched as. I don't remember like what other like early colors there were. Jack, you said there was like an off-white or silver one at the time.
Yeah,
We
hold
got ours at
on.
the same time. I don't know. I know there was other releases of like the main Game Boy, the base Game Boy Advance model, but I don't know which ones were available back then. They did a lot of different, excuse me, a lot of different colors though. I know they did like
Yeah.
some like clear see-through ones later on. I don't know how late those happen. Worth noting, I didn't mention it. The Game Boy Advance added 2 extra buttons that the Game Boy Color did not have because the Game Boy Advance added L and R buttons. So that we only had the directional start select A B, and now we have L and R. So yeah, fun
Hell
fact.
yeah. Because I know they had purple.
Yep.
Purple, I think, was the standard model, like the
Yeah.
default.
I think they called it Indigo, but yeah, it was the purple one.
Yeah. They had like I think there was an orange.
I do remember orange.
I'm trying to find like I'm trying to find like a comprehensive list of all of the colors and models that the Game Boy Advances had, but I can't find anything specifically.
Al said that his first Game Boy Advance game was Metabots AX Meta B version. That sounds a lot more interesting than fucking Monsters Inc. I'll tell you that much.
Hey, I mean, my first 3 games weren't anything that special either. I mean, it was Frogger, Madden 2002, and then a Lego Kart Racer that I'm always forget the name of.
Damn. Landon, if I remember right, you said that you'd never got the regular Game Boy Advance. You hopped on with the SP. Is that right?
Correct. My first Game Boy Advance console was a Game Boy Advance SP Cobalt Blue.
I got the
color,
Cobalt
baby.
Blue when I got one as well. Good one.
My original Game Boy Advance SP was the red one. I eventually traded that in to get my DS Lite.
That's not bad.
Because but I bought this one secondhand years later, and my Cobalt Blue SP has done me well in these past years.
I have a Cobalt Blue, but my go-to, if I actually use it, I actually have the this is a revised model of the Game Boy Advance SP. They call this the AGS 101. There's an AGS 001. That's the original models, and then this one has a much brighter screen. It is for the podcast viewers. Look at how bright that fucking screen is. I haven't even turned that shit up yet. I'm not gonna turn that shit up though because that will blind you. Pixel said that their first advanced game was Pokemon Sapphire. And same as Landon got the Cobalt Blue one to match the Pokemon. That is cool. I ended up getting Pokemon Ruby before I got an SP, so I did not match my Game Boy Advance and my Game Boy. Landon, don't make the Game Boy Advances do that.
Too late.
I'm curious, have any of you ever had experience with a Game Boy Micro?
I have held one, but I've never actually like played on one before. By the way, the official name for the Game Boy Advance that I had was Platinum.
Okay.
It was not one of the launch colors, but it says that it was released in 2001.
Okay. So yeah, it was later.
It's like silver.
Yeah. It's more silver than platinum. I know which one you're talking about. I've seen it before.
So is Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire the twins from that SP on SP action?
action.
Hell yeah, brother.
That's
My biggest experience with the micro was I was a counselor for a Cub Scout day camp for a week, and one of the other guys had a Game Boy micro and was like super into it. And I was like, that's cool. I'm going to keep playing my Nintendo DS because that's out.
yeah.
Now.
By the time that came out, you already had one.
And I got a DS very early. So
I did not get a DS super early. I actually did get experience with the Game Boy Micro. I didn't own it. I have a cousin who was a big Nintendo gamer as far back as like we used to hang out a lot. He is probably one of the reasons why I love as many Nintendo games as I do now, is because my childhood revolved around playing whatever my family could afford, which actually was not always Nintendo. But my cousin would have like almost every cool Nintendo thing that would come out at the time. And he did get a Game Boy Micro, and I got to play on it. I brought my copy of Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga because I was playing that at the time. And I tried it out, and it's really cute. I want a Game Boy Micro, but the secondhand market says no because that shit's expensive nowadays. You can get them for like they're not like crazy high, but like a lot of my Game Boy Micro are going for like 150 or more. So like it's hard to get one for a decent price.
Man, I remember the only time I've ever held a Game Boy Micro was when I saw it at a local used game store that unfortunately no longer exists. They had a Game Boy Micro on display, like in the case that was like could only be accessed from behind the counter. And I asked if I could look at it and just like kind of hold it for a second. I was like, damn, it's kind of crazy how fucking tiny it is. Like it's barely bigger than the fucking cartridge that goes inside of it.
Yeah.
Which is insane to me. And I regret not getting it at the time because it was only like $60 that they were selling it for. And I'm like, I look back at that and I'm like, man, I wish I fucking bought that.
Yeah.
Would have been so cool to own.
So let's talk about some games. I mean, we've already talked about Pokemon a lot. We could talk about it a little more, but there's so many games that we could talk about. I don't know about you, but one of the earliest games I played on the Game Boy Advance, before I even got one, because I played this on a cousin's Game Boy Advance, not the same cousin, different cousin, but Advance Wars was actually one of the first Game Boy Advance games I ever got to play, because it was. Oh wait, no, I guess I did have a Game Boy Advance. That's right. It got stuck at home while I was in foster care, so I never actually got to use it during that time. I'm mixing things up. Weird time in my life. But I did get to play Advance Wars as an early Game Boy Advance game because I didn't have a lot until like after that. So I played the first one. I remember like my cousin just kind of letting me just like keep playing it. So like I played pretty much the whole game. I remember getting like all the way to like whatever the final boss like guy is that had like like their color, I don't remember the name of them, but like they had like their army was like color coded black because like every army had its own like color coding. I remember that being like one of the bosses I was on. I think that was like near the end of the game. That was an early game that I played. Obviously, there was Monsters Inc.
Obviously, there was Monsters Inc.
Obviously, there was Monsters Inc. I say that like it's a slam dunk. I don't remember.
Like,
I don't
Monsters
remember.
Inc., bro.
I don't remember like other Game Boy Advance games that I had before Pokemon Ruby. Like it's really weird for me to think about, but like I had the Game Boy Advance in Christmas of 2001, and I'm like trying to think, and I'm like, I don't remember. Like am I actually misremembering? Did I get the Game Boy Advance in 2000? No, I couldn't have gotten the Game Boy Advance Christmas 2002 because that was when they got me Yu-Gi-Oh shit. Did I get a Yu-Gi-Oh game and I just don't remember it? I don't know. Like like my early Game Boy Advance years before Pokemon, don't know a fucking thing about. Because like after that, I could tell you like all the games I played. There was Mario Advance 4, there was Sonic Advance 3, then there was Sonic Advance 1 and 2 after that. There was uh there was I remember borrowing I think it was Banjo Pilot from a cousin because I traded a game that I had and then they traded me Banjo Pilot and then my uncle made us trade back because he didn't like that we didn't like they didn't like okay the trade. So we had to trade back, but I remember playing Banjo Pilot for a little while. So that was cool.
What would you guys say
only...
were like?
Oh.
Sorry, what were you gonna say, Len?
I was gonna say there was only 2 Yu-Gi-Oh games that released in 2002. Nothing released in 2001 in North America. So
yeah, well, what I'm saying is I don't recall getting the Game Boy Advance the same year I got the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. I remember like one Christmas I got the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff and one Christmas I got Game Boy Advance, and I feel like those had to have been different. I don't feel like they were the same. They might have been the same, but I swear I don't think that they were. Is what I'm trying to think.
Was the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff like a video game, or was it just...
So when I got Yu-Gi-Oh, it wasn't Game Boy Advance related. That's the thing. I got Forbidden Memories on the PS1. And then I had gotten some packs of cards. I think it was like the Pharaoh's Servant set that had come out at the time. So it was pretty early in. But I don't recall getting the Game Boy Advance then. Maybe I got the Game Boy Advance my birthday after, and I'm just misremembering. I don't know.
It could be.
Time. It was like
time is strange.
Years ago.
Like I said, I went into, I don't want to get too personal, but I went into foster care from like August of 2002 until December. So like pretty much from like late 2001 till like when Pokemon Ruby came out and just kind of like snapped me back into reality. I mix up a lot of shit. I don't remember what happened when.
I don't think anyone would blame you for not being perfectly clear on your memory of things that happened 24 years ago.
24 years ago. Around a traumatic period of my life.
Yeah, no, especially around like a very like stressful and bad time of your life. So
this sounds like the plot point for a Case 5 Ace Attorney game, though.
I don't want to dwell on it too much late. I think I got it pieced together in my head. I'm pretty sure I got the Game Boy Advance on my birthday in 2002. And the reason why I don't have many games for it is because I had gotten Monsters, Inc. that birthday. And then I was in foster care in August. And then because my mom couldn't find the Game Boy Advance, she just found my Game Boy Color because I still had it. She gave me the Game Boy Color with my Pokemon game that she found in it to play before I got sent away. So when I came back in December, it was Yu-Gi-Oh time, baby. What the fuck is a Game Boy Advance?
Yu-Gi-Oh. So let's go with
so then I would eventually come back to Game Boy Advance with Pokemon Ruby. That's why I don't remember my early time with Game Boy Advance all that well. But after Pokemon Ruby, God, there were so many games, and I'm still buying games today. Like, I mean, there's Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga that I also played, but I played through Golden Sun recently. I am going to be playing through Breath of Fire 2 that a friend lent me. There's a lot of good Game Boy Advance games. I don't know if you've heard.
Did you know?
Did you know
the best GBA game ever released is Barbie Secret Agent?
No, I didn't.
Hell yeah!
Thank you for telling me.
That was one of Ashland's games, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that like a long time ago.
My sister was not into Game Boy Advance. Like she'd fallen out of video games at this point because like she was the one that had the Genesis. She ended up getting her own Game Boy Color because she was jealous that I got one. I literally gave her one of my copies of Pokemon Gold and Silver. Like I let her pick which one she wanted to keep, and I took the other one because she bitched and moaned that she didn't get one. So like when I got both games, I was like, fine, you can have one of them. And like after that, she had like a Mary Kate and Ashley game on Game Boy Color, an Austin Powers game. And
hell yeah,
those were both bad games. And she had a Paperboy game that was actually pretty good. The Game Boy Paperboy game that was pretty good.
God, I need to play the fucking Austin Powers Game Boy Color game.
And Well, the one that she had wasn't even like a real like adventure game. Like it was Dr. Evil's Welcome to My Underground Lair or whatever. And like you played a bunch of stupid mini games. Like I remember playing Othello on that.
Oh, that's amazing.
Again, this is not Game Boy Advance related, but I just want
They-
you to know this was the last experience she had with a Game Boy. She never got Game Boy Advance.
They really do. They really did make video games of just whatever the fuck back in the
Yep.
day.
And Game Boy
Like,
Advance
if there
got
was
quite a bit of that too.
If there was a movie that was even remotely successful, it had a fucking video game adaptation.
Yep. And
Just look at fucking Finding Nemo for the Game Boy Advance. Sold better than Metroid Fusion.
Don't know
Sold better
why.
than Minish Cap. What the fuck?
Cloud,
yes.
how much do you think a sealed copy of Secret Agent Barbie Royal Jewels is for the Game Boy Advance?
See, I feel like this is either hilariously high or hilariously low, and I don't know which one to pick. So
I'm gonna say $60.
I'm
Okay.
gonna say $25 for a sealed copy.
Cloud is closer.
Oh,
That's funny.
Yeah.
See, I was
There's,
thinking either you could get a sealed copy for like $25, $30, or it was gonna be like $300 for some stupid reason.
This sealed copy box is fucked to high hell, so that might play into it. But on eBay right now, you can order technically a sealed copy for $29.95.
that's the price it cost when it came out. They're
Oh
just
yeah,
trying to
I
break even
see
on
how
it.
fucked the box is. It's like there was something like pressing on it for a long time.
Oh man, it was definitely sitting at the like the bottom of. Is this on eBay? I'm guessing.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is.
This is. I'm guessing it comes from the fucking house where eBay games come from, and it was just smushed under a bunch of other random shit. Not even just Game Boy Advance games, but just anything. And it was just like that for years. And they're just like, oh yeah, I still have this. I might as well put it on eBay. See who wants it.
Yeah, what are some iconic games that you guys played on Game Boy Advance?
Besides
Monsters
Agent
Inc.
Barbie.
Besides
any
Barbie.
Agent
Monsters,
Barbie. I mean, I'm gonna start by saying this one,
The Pokemon
I
Emerald.
can't
Pokemon
hear
Emerald.
that.
Yeah,
This cartridge is very, very expensive.
it is.
It is.
If I'm ever in dire financial straits, I could just sell this, but I never will. I never will. This is mine forever.
Good.
Fuck
What if I-
you.
What if I take it from you? What'll you do?
I would be very sad.
Okay.
Al says that he didn't have many Game Boy Advance games during its main years. He had Metabots, there was Advance Wars 2, that's a good game, Metroid Fusion, Sonic Advance 1 and 2, Final Fantasy 6, and most of the GBA Pokemon games. I wish I had Final Fantasy 6, man. Like I had Final Fantasy 4 for a while. And I've had Final Fantasy 1 and 2 Dawn of Souls, but I never had Final Fantasy 6 Advance or 5.
I'm kind of in a similar boat as Al, where like because I was like a young kid during the Game Boy Advance years, I did not have money. I pretty much only ever got games from
gifts, right?
either birthdays or Christmas.
Yeah,
And
the same thing for
You
me.
know, it kind of worked out because my birthday is like far enough away from Christmas that it was like, yeah, I'll get a couple of games twice a year. But no, I grew up with, you know, obviously the Pokemon games. The Super Mario Advance games were big for me. I definitely played. I'm pretty sure I had Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland. The Sonic Advance games were huge for me as well. Definitely being a fucking Sonic kid. The Sonic Advance games were like very like, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like
Formative games.
Formative. Yeah, thank you. I was thinking like seminal, and I'm like, no, that's not right. Yeah, definitely very formative games for me. But I mean, I can't think of too much else that I had during the GBA's life cycle. Oh, Pokemon Pinball Ruby and Sapphire, baby. That was also a big one for me. But yeah, no, I didn't like. I mean, I mostly stuck to the games like Pokemon, Sonic, Kirby. Like I had the Pac-Man collection and the Namco Museum, and that definitely comes from like my mom was huge on like Pac-Man and like other Namco arcade games when she was a kid, so she got those for me, thinking like, oh yeah, like, you know, these would be cool, and they were cool. They were really cool. But yeah, just due to my limited funds as a 6 to 9-year-old child during the lifespan of the Game Boy Advance when it was at its peak, I didn't have a ton of games for it.
Yeah. Landon.
I also didn't have a whole lot of games for the Game Boy Advance. Especially because I moved on to the DS like so
Pretty
quickly.
quick. Yeah, like you had GBA SP 2003, DS by 2005 when the Micro was out. So that was not a long time.
Yeah, so like it was pretty rapid for that, but like all of the Pokemon, like main series and spin-offs, like every version I had at one point until someone stole a couple copies.
Yeah.
That was neat.
Boo.
Um
Fuck
they also
thieves.
stole my Pokemon Coliseum disc,
Oh,
but that I got back. That one got replaced. So that was fine. They never took the bonus disc, so thank the gods for that. Oh my
that's
god.
good. I will say
Anyway,
yeah. I'll keep going.
some other stuff I definitely played during the time was Link to the Past. The Link to the Past remake that was made for the GBA.
They did.
That was huge.
They had that and Four Swords bundled together in one cartridge, right?
Yep. Mega Man Battle Network 4 Blue Moon. I remember playing that. I remember playing, was it Supersonic Warriors? Is that the
Dragon Ball Z? Yeah.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z Supersonic Warriors, or was it Boo's Fury?
It
No,
could be
because
Boo's
Boo's
Fury.
Fury is like it was one of the 2D fighters.
Oh, it
So
was
I think
Supersonic Warriors then.
Supersonic Warriors. That one my brother had. And then but I still played it. And then he also had a copy of Donkey Kong Country.
Nice.
Which is a pretty solid version of Donkey Kong Country. Any version of Donkey Kong Country is.
That is a game I did not mention that did get solid ports among all of the really good ports that we got of like SNES games. Donkey Kong Country.
Donkey Kong Country
did they do all three, or was there one that they didn't do? Because I feel like they did at least two. I don't remember.
I think they did all three, if I remember correctly.
Which is pretty impressive.
I don't know. I didn't own any of them as a kid. I actually didn't play any of the Donkey Kong Country games until WiiWare.
The thing that's hard for me to remember, like which Game Boy Advance games I played when, I think the most is like, not only did I get the Game Boy Advance at a weird time, but like, you know how I mentioned at the front of the podcast that like this was a system that had some overlap into the early DS era? I played a lot of games when that overlap was happening. Like,
yeah.
And I also bartered a lot. Like I wasn't like, this was the period of time where, like you said, I didn't have a lot of money. And it was also during a time when like my parents were not able to like really get me a lot of games. So if I couldn't get the game as a gift, I had to trade something of mine to get the Game Boy Advance game from a friend. And I did that several times. That's how I believe that's how I played Super Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga for the first time. I'm pretty sure I bartered for that. I remember not bartering, but I borrowed Dragon Ball Z Boost Fury from a friend. I remember playing that. I remember playing through Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team. I think that I had borrowed it, and then my friend actually was nice enough to just be like, you know what? You like the game a lot. I haven't touched it. You can just have it. I remember like them just kind of letting me keep it for as long as I felt like I might have given it back to them, but I remember I was holding on to it for a long time. I'd played that. That was a late entry. And some of these Game Boy Advance games I played, like I played them after I got a DS in 2007 as well. So, like I was playing Game Boy Advance games from like when I got the system, well after I got the system, like when I got Pokemon Ruby from like 2003 all the way into like the late 2000s, even though I was also playing DS games. Like the Game Boy Advance just had even though like the games had stopped by like 2007, like there's just so much shit that came out. I was playing Game Boy Advance games for like several years after, and I was just finding new ones to play all the time.
Yeah.
I have to inform you, Linnea took the smelliest shit.
Oh,
So
fuck.
I
there
guess
you
that's
go.
how she feels about the Game Boy Advance.
Well, she's not going to be my daughter if that's her opinion.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, we respect the Game Boy Advance. We respect most handhelds in this family.
Most handhelds.
Most handhelds.
Yeah, I mean, I do remember I played through the Spyro trilogy that I mentioned, which is Season of Ice, Season of Flame, and then Attack of the Rhinox, is the main three games. I remember playing through those a lot as a kid. I 100% Attack of the Rhinox. I don't remember how, but I did it. The first game's way too hard to do 100%. I remember I didn't do that. And then Season of Flame, that was a really fun one. So I played through those. Sonic Advance, honestly, until like later on, wasn't really like my big thing. I did play through Advance 3, and I loved Advance 3. I remember playing through it because I was like, "Oh, this game is cool. It's like a 2D version of Sonic Adventure because of the style, and like it has Sonic X style to it." Like I was just like, that's how my mindset was when I was like younger. That's how I looked at it, and I had a blast with that. But I never played 1 and 2 until like much later. So like my Game Boy Advance experience is weird. It's all over the place, but I have a lot of it.
I got really into the Fire Emblems later on down, and also like the Metroids, because it wasn't until like, God, what would that have been? 2015. I feel like I was playing Metroid Fusion. Like it was pretty like a long time had passed, and then the Fire Emblems, because what was it? Sacred Stones was added to the 3DS like ambassador program.
Yeah, in late 2011.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is where a little bit of my like Game Boy Advance like exposure also came from, was playing some of those games. But yeah.
Actually, right at about now. So
And Minish Cap the same way.
I remember I played a little bit of one of those 2 Zelda games that my friend was borrowing, that my friend like let me borrow. I never actually owned the games until like later on down the line. I don't. Yeah, and I only have Minish Cap digitally. But besides the games that we mentioned, since we just went through like our formative years of the Game Boy Advance, like when it was like more relevant. Before we get on to like the like aftermath, like after the years and like games that we played and stuff like that, and like other Game Boy Advance stuff like connectivity with GameCube and shit. How about we go ahead and take a quick break for all of our little shout outs and our stream account plans, what we've been doing with Twitch.
You want me to do that?
Yes, please, because I need a drink.
Okay, go for it. Hey everybody.
Hi.
This
Hi,
is
everyone.
the GamingStooges. Oh yeah, Landon, I forgot you don't need to get up because you already gave your Tillamook.
You know,
at the beginning.
you wanna know something fun?
Yeah, what's up?
It's empty. It's
Damn,
empty.
you ate that shit.
This was full and sealed when we sat down and hit record. So
Are you serious?
Yes.
God damn, you ate
16
that whole
fluid ounces of Tillamook, baby.
Fuck yeah. In like an hour.
Gonna die.
You're gonna shit later.
I'm gonna shit like Linnea did. Anyway.
Yep. Anyway, hey everybody.
Hey,
we
everyone.
have a Discord that you can join. It is in the description. Join our Discord. You can learn all about what we've been doing lately, our updates on what's coming up. We have a Patreon where you can subscribe to either vote for upcoming content, whether it be future streams, future podcast topics, or you could potentially see some exclusive content.
Ooh, how much is
on
that?
our Patreon.
And what is that called?
For the $3 a month on the Silver Stooge tier, you get access to voting on all of our polls for future content, as well as all of our exclusive video content that we post on Patreon. We post a video a month.
What if I want a little bit more?
If you want a little bit more, you could spend $5 a month for the Gold Stooge tier, where you will get a shout out personalized by us every time we do a podcast. Shout out to Al.
Love that. Shout out to Al.
Shout out to Al in the chat. He's the sole Gold Stooge member at the moment. Yeah. And as far as streams we have going on right now, Landon, well, by the time this podcast is up on streaming services, it will be finished. But Landon is nearing the end of Dragon Quest IV.
Hey, speaking of which, give me like I don't know, 5 minutes, and we'll have Patreon content. Hold on.
Oh, there you go.
I have to put up. You remind me. I have to put up a poll.
He's putting up a poll. Landon's putting up a poll right now. There you go. That's how
live.
often you get content on our Patreon if you join for just $3 a month, or $5 if you're feeling generous and you really want that shout out.
Hey, tell them what this episode is.
This episode is brought to you by Tillamook.
No, this episode was decided upon by.
Oh yeah, this episode topic of the Game Boy Advance was decided on by you, the patrons. It was voted for and won in a poll over the GameCube, which we will be doing in the near future. Not the very next podcast topic, but the one right after that, I think. If I'm not mistaken.
What's up?
I'm talking about when we're doing GameCube, but
yes, that is going to be 2 episodes from now. Yep, 1 month from now.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, and as far as things that we're doing right now, I just finished Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, and all of the VODs for that will be on YouTube by the time this goes up onto streaming services. Cloud is currently playing through No More Heroes.
Yeah.
And that has been going good. And Landon, like fun. I already met. Yeah. And like I mentioned, Landon is finishing up with Dragon Quest IV. I will have started a new stream series by the time this goes up, but you're gonna have to wait and see what that's gonna be. You're gonna have to wait. If you're listening to this on like Spotify or Apple Music or whatever, then you already know what it is. But for now, for the live audience, we got to keep quiet. Yep. And I believe that's it.
All right. So let's get back into Game Boy Advance, as in I'm sure that later on, after the Game Boy Advance was like the relevant system on the market, I'm sure that we had exposed ourselves to a lot more Game Boy Advance games then. And I want to hear some interesting stories about that, because it has been about 15 years since the Game Boy Advance was discontinued. And I'm sure that even from that point, a lot of us had our own little Game Boy Advance journeys that we went through. So just some stories that you'd like to share about like Game Boy Advance games that you found after the fact that you really liked.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's plenty. I mean, like there's a good deal of Game Boy Advance games that I have played beyond my younger years.
Yeah, I will say I probably have the least, like, percentage wise out of the three of us, of like Game Boy Advance games I had played after, compared to like when it was still relevant, because of, like I said, I managed to play a lot when it was still like kind of like the thing. But I played more after that, but like it's probably like a 50-50 split, honestly. I played a lot of games when it was still like big. But
that's fair.
Because like I could count Boo's Fury as like an older one, but I played the the other the other Dragon Ball Z adventure games, the Legacy of Goku 1 and 2 afterwards. I did that for a podcast. One of those is a good game in my opinion. The other one I never want to touch again. I'll let you guys decide which one was which.
Let's see.
I don't know where it is, but I forgot to mention Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. I played that. I try not to mention Kingdom Hearts and Landon's Presence. I think that's why I forgot to mention it earlier. That was a game. That was a game that I played when the Game Boy Advance was still new.
You know that
want to poop my pants.
You know that Kingdom Hearts is a trigger for him, so you don't want to.
Yeah.
You don't want to start anything. But no, there's plenty of
saying it then.
Yeah, no, there's a good deal of GBA games that I played after the fact. Both of the Metroid GBA games were not like childhood games for me, but I definitely played them a decent amount like after the GBA's prime. Like Mario versus Donkey Kong, fucking Minish Cap was not like a childhood game for me, but I played it after the fact, and it is my favorite 2D Zelda game. Let's see, fucking Wario Land 4. That's a big one. I fucking love Wario Land 4. I'm blanking on any other like major ones, but WarioWare for GBA, also a great game. I have played the first Starfy game for GBA.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the originally were, I mean, they still are, with the exception of NSO. But the legendary Starfy had 3 GBA games, I'm pretty sure, that they added to NSO not too long ago, and I think that's pretty sick.
I always forget. It's kind of wild that like we didn't get it until it was on the DS, so we got the DS versions of the games. But like the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney games originally were Game Boy Advance games.
Yeah, they were Japan only, but
super early too, like in the lifespan.
Yeah, it was like 2001. It was early as fuck. Holy shit, it's actually on here. I was just scrolling through the list of best-selling games. The first one of the first GBA games I owned was Frogger's Adventures Temple of the Frog, which was the full title for that game. And that was like, out of the 3 games that I got when I first got my GBA, was like the only one that really stuck with me. I didn't really give a shit about playing Madden on the Game Boy, or Madden in general, honestly, because I always preferred like backyard sports and like the more like cartoonish sports games than the more realistic ones.
And there was a ton of the backyard.
Oh yeah, there was a good deal of backyard games on the GBA, but I mostly played them on PC. Like that was definitely like my, like as a kid, like that was the franchise for PC gaming.
Sounds like we need to fix that.
Jack, have you ever
just
played
need to play all the GBA
Golden
ones.
Sun?
Not extensively, no.
This is the wrong Golden Sun. I meant to grab Golden Sun 1 and I grabbed Golden Sun The Lost Age by accident, but I mean Golden Sun 1. That's a really good game.
I was about to say that doesn't look right.
It's definitely like,
I keep mixing them up.
It's definitely on my list of games
are like the
I
same.
need to play at some point, but I have not like, for all intents and purposes, I've not played the original Golden Sun.
I will say Golden Sun, the original one, because I still haven't finished Lost Age, is probably one of my new favorite Game Boy Advance games like ever. And that's saying a lot because I love Super Mario Advance 4 and Pokemon Emerald and Pokemon Fire and Leaf Green. But like Golden Sun, awesome.
Jack, you want to see a game that Cloud wishes he owned for the Game Boy Advance?
Ooh.
Sure.
Boom.
Advanced
Adventure.
That's a game that I played thanks to a special magical technology. And I gotta say, Dragon Ball Advance Adventure, one of the best games on the Game Boy Advance. Also a sleeper hit because it came out kind of late. It was like a 2006 game. they made it because Dimps made it, and they made it after the Sonic Advance stuff that they were doing. That game though is really really good. It's a nice 2D side-scrolling beat 'em up with a fighting mode attached where you can unlock tons of Dragon Ball characters for some reason. It's pretty cool. Covers a lot of the story of the game, or not of the game, of the anime. Most of it, not all of it, but most of it. So
it goes like
I was gonna say something and I blanked.
Demon King. I think it goes. What is it? Demon King Piccolo that it goes through?
yeah, it goes up to Demon King Piccolo, but it also like skips a little bit of stuff like early on and in between, but not a lot compared to other Dragon Ball games. Because usually the OG Dragon Ball stuff, they only like focus on like a single arc at a time or two. I know like they did that with Origins, and then Revenge of King Piccolo kind of like skims through a lot, but like Advanced Adventure, you get like a decent amount. That's a really good advanced game that I don't have a physical copy of. I borrowed this originally from a friend, then I bought my own copy, but Breath of Fire 2 is a super grindy but a very nice, fun, old-fashioned RPG. Another port of a Super Nintendo game. I can't wait to get back to that one day. That's a game that I want to play. I brought just like some random Game Boy Advance games, like Monsters Inc. I played
Monsters Inc.
I don't know why I
Monsters
like
Inc. Sunday, baby.
I don't have this game anymore. I used to own Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Duel Academy. Al knows. I used to talk to him about this. Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Duel Academy was actually the first GX game that I know of from like for Yu-Gi-Oh! And it was also the only one that I know of that was on the Game Boy Advance because they moved to the DS afterwards. And I remember I didn't have a DS at the time I wanted to play Duel Academy. Or at the time I wanted to play Yu-Gi-Oh! GX stuff. So when I first got my hands on something for it, it was Duel Academy. I 100% that game. I got all the way to Slifer Blue. I did whatever the hell the point in the story it goes up to. I think it's mostly based on like the first season or so. I ended up collecting all of the cards. Like I had every card in the game. I was that obsessed with that game. Like Yu-Gi-Oh! Games on the Game Boy Advance were good shit. Like there's a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
Because you had Eternal Duelist Soul, there was a world championship game or two. There was Sacred Cards and Rechef of Destruction, which are like card game RPGs of sorts. It's hard to explain, but like there's like an RPG element to it because you can like go into duels with like, ooh, what is that? Which Fire Emblem is that?
It's Roy's game.
Oh, Binding Blade.
Yep.
The one before Blazing Blade, which is what we got as just Fire Emblem.
Yeah, I have the other two US releases, but I was like, you know what? Let's grab it. So yeah, I have the complete GBA Fire Emblem collection.
Landon, one day you could maybe play a patched version on the Analog Pocket that Jack very definitely got you.
I'm hoping and praying every day of my life that I can do that. And I know Jack would never let me down. So
Al says that Konami should put GX Duel Academy on a collection,
yeah.
And I agree. There were quite a few, actually, now that I think about, now that it brings up Konami, not Konami specifically, but like there was quite a few good Metroidvanias on this system, huh? I mean, you had Metroid, you had Castlevania. I don't know if you would want to say that Kirby and the Amazing Mirror was a good Metroidvania, but it's a Metroidvania.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Metroidvania.
It is a Metroidvania.
That is technically, those words are technically true.
Technically true. God. I gotta get into the Metroid games. I played a little bit of Fusion, and I feel like the Game Boy Advance might be a good place to start for me. I remember enjoying what I played of Fusion.
If you are not going for 100%, Fusion and Zero Mission are very easy games to get into, especially Fusion because it's very handholdy.
I've been told.
Yeah, it is one of the more handholdy games. So but the other thing is they're running off of the Super Metroid, like it's mostly off of the Super Metroid like system, so they like play wonderfully. So it's just mileage may vary depending on how much you want to like have your little handheld through the game.
For a
But
game like that, I probably don't mind if the game wants to hold my hand until I finish it. Like,
yeah,
I
that's
have
fair.
no
That's why I
experience in that
say
genre at all.
I think those ones are a decent starting place for like newcomers because of that. So I would recommend playing them.
All right.
One of them.
So as far as games, we've basically covered just about everything. But as I mentioned, Game Boy Advance did a lot of weird shit. Jack, I want to hear more about your experience with Game Boy Advance Video because I have zero experience with it.
Oh, I have hardly any. I'm gonna be honest.
Oh, you don't have that much?
I had a friend who had like a Sonic X cartridge. I don't even remember what episode. And I think my sister had a SpongeBob one, but it's been so fucking long. I do not remember. Hold on, let me look up and see.
There's a lot of
what
Game Boy
episodes
Advance
were
Video
even.
releases. They did a shit ton. Like, before PSP could do its whole UMD movie shit, Game Boy Advance Video was where it was at. And I say that as
You could as far as feature length movies go for Game Boy Advance Video, you have for options Shrek 1, Shrek 2, Shark Tale,
yup.
The Shrek and Shark Tale 2 movies in one compilation,
And I'm going to
which
tell you
was
that right now.
both movies on a single cartridge.
I heard that one is compressed way even worse than the typical Game Boy Advance Video because they had to make it so you could fit both of them. So like,
that's the one to go for, baby.
Or Shrek and Shrek 2,
which also probably is incredibly disgustingly compressed.
Yep. Let's see. Holy crap, there's way more than I remember.
Yeah, there's a bunch.
Yeah, they had a lot of cartoons back in the day on GBA Video. They had Ed, Ed and Eddie, Courage the Cowardly Dog, Johnny Bravo, Billy and Mandy,
a lot of
Codename Kids Next Door.
I think
Dexter's Lab.
I think the Pokemon anime got like a few like sporadic bits and pieces of episodes on there. Dragon Ball Z as well. They did a couple of those as well. There's if it was popular in the early mid 2000s and like kids watched that shit, they put that shit on Game Boy Advance Video. It's pretty interesting time that we lived in.
Yeah, there were several SpongeBobs as well.
Landon, did you get any Game Boy Advance Video growing up?
I didn't own any. I told you my story with one where when I was at one of the local game stores, they had like a Retron setup or a Game Boy player or something. So plugged in one. We just watched 2 episodes of Dragon Ball GT in the best quality format you could have.
Absolutely.
Looks real good when you fucking run it through that.
If we want to be real, it was probably comparable to like what you would see for like the very first YouTube videos when that launched around the same time.
144p, baby.
Yeah. It's fun.
It was, state of the art in a way, sort of. One thing I didn't get to experience all that well that I feel like Landon has some experience with, I want to ask. Connectivity with GameCube. How much experience you got with that? Because I want to be jealous of you for like 2 minutes.
I never owned the Game Boy player, mostly because by the time I got into like collecting, it was fucking expensive to buy the disc. Like you could buy a player, no problem, but the disc is the thing that costs money because without that,
I'm so mad. I had one. I don't know what happened to it, but when we had a GameCube, somewhere in the shuffle of moving from GameCube to Wii, and me just using my Wii for GameCube games. I don't know what happened to our GameCube. I swear I had held on to it and stored it somewhere, and it had the Game Boy player. We had the disc. I used it because we got the GameCube super late, so we ended up getting a Game Boy player at the time, and it was not too expensive. It was like 2007 or so. I don't know what happened to it. I don't have it anymore. I don't even think my family has it anymore. I'm pretty sure it's just gone, which sucks.
I used to have a Game Boy player. It wasn't first party. It was
Really?
third party. Yeah, no, I distinctly remember this because I tried it. Oh my god, I found a picture of it.
You found it? Okay.
I actually found it.
Send that
It's
in our
very low quality,
Discord.
but it was a dongle that plugged into the memory card slot instead of being a like add-on to the system itself that would like go underneath it. And you would like put the cartridge in the dongle.
Okay.
And it had the disc just like the regular Game Boy player did. But it was here, I'll post the picture in the spoilers.
Join our Discord if you want to get the context of this.
Join our Discord. But yeah, it looked like that.
I never
it was
had
weird.
anything like that. That's definitely that is very weird looking, but I believe it.
That was a Christmas gift one year, I'm pretty sure. I want to say that was like 2003. I got that one. Yeah, it was weird. I definitely don't have it anymore. I don't remember what happened to it. I think it stopped working at a certain point and I just threw it out.
Damn.
But yeah.
My brother did have one. So like I did have experience with it during the time of it, like when it was like around and like sold. And I remember playing a decent amount of A Link to the Past, GBA on it.
That's a good way to play it, considering.
Yeah. So like I have played it. Just I never owned one myself, but
do you have
it's a really, really cool.
Do you have the GameCube
setup.
Game Link cable that like lets you like use the Game Boy Advance with your GameCube as like a controller and for connectivity? Have you done anything with that?
Oh yeah.
I mean, besides
Landon and
I know that you did. Go ahead, Jack. Actually.
Well, when I visited Landon a few years ago, we on my last day there, we actually did play with the proper like GBA link cable to GameCube, Four Swords.
That's pretty
adventures.
Awesome, honestly.
Yeah, and we played it for maybe an hour or two. And it was fun, actually. It was really cool. That is the only experience I've ever had with it, though. I never had the link cable as a kid.
That's still pretty awesome.
I used it. I had one as a kid, and I was using it for like Pokemon trades between Gen 3 and Coliseum and XD. So I did a fair amount of that.
Yeah. I don't remember when exactly it happened, but I do have a Wishmaker Jirachi from you that you had traded up and then like traded over Wi-Fi to give to me, because I was like trying to remember how I got it. And I was like, wait, I remember Landon got me one and like sent it after he transferred it up between generations. Like I said, I don't remember when this happened, but I remember you were like, I can just send unlimited Jirachi out. I can just I could just do
I can farm that shit.
Yeah. It's like you had it when you had a spare like Gen 3 game, you could just like restart it, get a new one, send it out.
Yeah.
All done. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
I haven't done it. I haven't done it yet, but I did buy a Game Boy Advance GameCube Game Link cable that I will be using with my copy of Pokemon Coliseum, which I will talk a little bit about later in the podcast at the end.
Nice.
But I just recently beat it, so when I'm ready to do stuff with that, I'll be able to just hook this bad boy up my Game Boy Advance and just trade stuff over. So I'm looking forward to that because it seems like it's a fun thing to do. But yeah, I don't have experience with anything else. Like the e-reader, don't have experience with it. And all the other stuff mentioned, don't have experience with it. Which sucks because I've seen like the stuff you can unlock in like like Super Mario Advance 3 or 4, Super Mario Brothers 3 with like the e-reader. And it's good that they released that game in a way that like you can play those levels without the e-reader because there's a lot of cool levels that had. I remember getting like a card for e-reader that was like for Pokemon Ruby Sapphire. Never got to use it. I just remember like there was like a trainer and they left one Pokemon like blank with like a question mark, and I was like, "Ooh, spooky. What's this Pokemon that they have on it?" I don't remember how I got that card. I just remember having that card and never being able to use it.
There's actually like a decent amount of stuff that the GBA link cable like gets you between different games.
Is there? Yeah,
Like
because there's a
uh
Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, I think.
I think that's one.
I'm sure there's a lot more that I don't even know about.
Crystal Chronicles required for each player in multiplayer mode. But there's stuff like Metroid Prime. You can unlock the fusion suit.
Oh,
You
cool!
have
Really?
yeah,
That's
Metroid
pretty
Yeah.
Fusion.
nifty.
Yeah, no, that.
It's a slick version of that.
Yep.
And they kind of do that in the Prime Trilogy re-release of Metroid Prime. You could it was like something you can unlock at the end. Like once you beat the game, you could there was an option in the options menu to like turn it back on. But if I remember right, Metroid Prime Remastered for the Switch does not
Oh, that's a shame.
include that. Yeah. Mario Golf Advance Tour allows you to transfer characters between it and Toadstool Tour.
Oh, so they did like they did with the N64, where like if you had the transfer pack and you had Mario Golf on both systems, you could do stuff like that. I don't know why I didn't
Mhm.
think that they would have done something like that, considering they did that before, but that's cool.
You could transfer Chow
That's right.
between
Yep.
the
Between the Chow Garden
advanced
on
and
your
adventure
games and the advanced games.
Yeah, and if you use your Game Boy Advance, it could like send like a weird like mini game version of it on like the Game Boy Advance from the from the GameCube game. I forgot that that was a thing too. They did actually make some pretty good use of that thing. Now that I think about it.
The Phantasy Star Online episode 1 and 2 games, you could use the GBA link cable to play mini games based off of Puyo Puyo and Nights into Dreams. And then it also had a tiny Chow Garden that you could use to import a Tails Chow into DX or Adventure 2.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was
Battle.
like they had a
Yeah.
couple weird chow that you had to like daisy chain through in order to get them on those games.
Yeah, but there's like a lot of games, not just first party, but like a good number of third party stuff. Like some of the Harry Potter games had crossover, depending on what. Yeah, Animal Crossing had some stuff where you could play the like NES games downloaded onto your GBA. And it also supported e-reader as well for Animal Crossing. So yeah, Billy Hatcher, you could play mini games. I think it was the same too as Fantasy Star Online and also Choo Choo Rocket one. So yeah,
All right.
Bobobo.
Nice.
I have a
Bobobo.
here's an interesting question to round out our discussion. What are some Game Boy Advance games you have not played that you want to get to?
Golden Sun and its
Sun.
sequel.
Golden Sun, baby.
That is like, I feel like that is the big blind spot that I have as far as like Game Boy Advance Essentials go. Like that's the one like major title for the GBA that I've yet to touch. I mean, like I've touched it, but not like I haven't held it.
Just touched.
I haven't touched it.
Yeah.
Touch me
harder.
Any others? Or is that basically it? Just the Golden Sun titles?
Some of the Dragon Ball Z games on GBA are pretty good, right?
I would say Boo's Fury is good. Supersonic Warriors, the fighting game, is good. If you like Boost Fury a lot, the prequel to that, Legacy of Goku 2, is okay or fine. You probably will not like Legacy of Goku 1 because that game is garbage.
Just
It's
skip
funny because Legacy of Goku is in the top 30 best-selling GBA games.
Very
that.
unfortunate.
It is.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah. Advanced Adventure, I would say, is probably like the best,
Yeah.
but it's also the most expensive.
It is.
Yeah,
So I just say emulate that, play it.
Yeah. Play it.
that's fair.
And then any others?
That's about it,
that's
though.
it. So as far as games I haven't played at all, like as long as I've at least like emulated it or something, like I'll count it. But as far as games I have not played at all, I think the major missing point for me is Fire Emblem. I have not, as despite the fact that
Oh
I
yeah,
am
that
now,
too.
despite the fact that I am now a casual Fire Emblem fan, and I've played quite a few of the games pretty much from Awakening onward. Still have to get to Engage, but still, like I have not played. I started a file on Sacred Stones because that was sent out as an ambassador game on 3DS, and I did like 2 or 3 missions, and I just shelved it and then never got back to it. I got to get back to that, and then there's also Fire Emblem, quote unquote, which is Fire Emblem: The Blazing Blade. I haven't played that one. If I wanted to get into it, Metroid, that's another big one. Um, if we're only counting like games that were like new Game Boy Advance games, because like I could also mention like ports and remakes and shit. I don't want to mention those ones. I also haven't ever played Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. Like I've played bits and pieces of A2. I love Final Fantasy Tactics. I don't know why. I've just never played Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. Probably because my Game Boy Advance was a Pokemon machine for most of the time. And I wasn't super into strategy RPGs until after I was already done with Game Boy Advance. Because, like, by the time I was done with the Game Boy Advance, it was pretty much, like, discontinued. And that was when I started playing, like, Disgaea and and actual, like, Final Fantasy Tactics and some other stuff like it. So, like, I do got to get into more tactical games. I think those are the major ones. I mean, I haven't beaten them. I haven't played through them enough, but like I've got Advance Wars 1 and 2. I have Golden Sun under my belt. So I've mentioned all the other games. Yeah, I think it's pretty much just like Fire Emblem Metroid.
So the stuff that's on my Game Boy Advance wish list. I'm missing one Dragon Ball game, Dragon Ball Z collectible card game.
Oh yeah, the one that was based on the
Yeah.
bad card game from 2002 or so.
Yeah.
That shit sucks.
So there's that. Yeah. I want to get Donkey Kong Country 2 and 3 at some point because I have one. And DK King of Swing, which was like the original, like a made for game GBA game, Donkey Kong game. And then Game and Watch Gallery 4, I would also like. And then, and this is the good stuff, Bionicle Bionicle Heroes.
Bionicle Legos. Oh boy.
Lego Bionicle. There's like 5 Bionicle games for the fucking GBA.
Oh, there is a Lego Bionicle.
Lego.
Lego. Well, I mean, to be fully transparent, Bionicle was made and produced by Lego. So.
No, I know that. It's just it's weird to put those two things together because Bionicle is already like a.
There's one that is called Lego Bionicle, and then there's one that's just called Bionicle.
Okay, that is weird.
And then Bionicle Heroes, and then there's like 2 other ones, Maze of Shadows, and then Matorna Adventures. I gotta get all the Bionicles, baby.
Yeah. Do you have
folks in the chat? Let us know. Let us know what's good on the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
What's your question?
One last question. Do you have Puyo Pop, aka the Puyo Puyo, like remake port?
I have Puyo Pop on GameCube.
Okay.
I don't have the GBA one.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, Pixel says, "Oh boy," to my question. So I'm sure we're gonna have a really good list of games that Pixel recommends.
All right.
So while we wait for that, comment.
Closing statements on the Game Boy Advance. How do you feel about the Game Boy Advance as a whole, Jack?
Love it. It's a great system. It was my first one, and it's a very important one to me. It has some of my favorite games of all time on it. No major complaints. I mean, hardware wise, the only thing I can really complain about is that the lack of blacklight or backlight on the screen on the original model. Because at that point, I mean, you could have had you could have had a light behind the screen.
It's early
it was.
I think pretty much every other major handheld that came out, despite them all selling like shit comparatively still, but they all had backlights.
I remember being a kid and either sitting under a lamp to play Pokemon, or I had the worm light.
I didn't have the worm light. I had this weird thing that you clipped onto the top, and it had a clamshell flap, and the flap
I know
had
what
a light
you're
on
talking
it.
about.
Yeah, so it protected the screen, and then it also was a light when I turned it on.
Yeah.
That shit drained batteries like a motherfucker.
Mm-hmm. So, I bet.
I'm glad that I ended up moving on to Game Boy Advance SP from there. But yeah, did you basically say everything you wanted to about the Game Boy Advance?
Yeah, that's about it. I love the Game Boy Advance. Good system.
Yeah, I love the Game Boy Advance too. I think the more time goes on, I feel like I'm getting more and more of an appreciation for it. Just such a strong library, even when you factor in that certain major series didn't get a fresh new game on it. You didn't get a fresh new Mario game or 2D Mario mainline game. You still had a bunch of
but we got
experimental shit.
We got a really good Mario RPG for the system.
Yeah, you had a good Mario RPG. You had experimental shit in there. You had a lot of stuff coming over to North America for the first time that we never got, and these are all solid games for their series. So I keep finding shit that I want to play. There's a lot of great ports of games that were on the Super Nintendo, and yeah, there's screen crunch, but I want to play these portable versions of these games because it's just cute and fun that they're there. Pixel has a bunch of suggestions. We never got to talk about Mother 3. Mother 3?
No.
Oh, I haven't played it yet, so I'll have to play it. Jack didn't Jack didn't talk about Mother 3. Oh my god, and he's gone. He can't even talk about Mother 3. Rip Jack. Yes, Landon,
I didn't know you.
Me.
I didn't know you.
Oh yeah.
You don't know my name.
Jack, you never talked about Mother 3.
Oh yeah. Well, okay, to be fair,
we didn't
Mother
get
3,
it. Yeah.
Mother 3 I did not play on original hardware. I emulated that shit.
I also emulated
but
Dragon
yes,
Ball
Mother
Advance
3
Adventure.
Mother 3 is a fucking classic. I love that game so much. And I don't it's weird because I don't think about that game when I think of the Game Boy Advance, because I mostly think about the games that I had as a kid or I played on official Nintendo hardware after the fact.
Yeah, that's right.
Via Virtual Console. But yeah, no, I love Mother 3, obviously, but you are correct though that it is odd that I did not bring it up.
Yeah. But going back to my summation about the Game Boy Advance, going back, I realized just how formative this system is for me. It's a very important system to me. And I think as I've said, if I was to redo my top video game systems of all time list, I think Game Boy Advance would be a hell of a lot higher than 9th on mine. I love this thing more and more times. I'm seeing more games I want to play on it. I'm going to be getting a lot of mileage out of Game Boy Advance just going forward because there's just a lot of cool stuff to play. So, yeah. Love Game Boy Advance. 2 thumbs up.
Do you want to read off Pixel's list?
Yeah. She mentions Boktai 1 and 2, Swordcraft Story Summon Night 1 and 2, Lady Sia, which I don't know any of those. I'm just going to mention that. Mother 3, Shining Soul 1 and 2, Sigma Star Saga, and Herbs.
You made up
Herbs,
most
funny.
of those. I'm not convinced that most of those are real.
Which one do you think is the most fake?
I think that Swordcraft Story Summon Night sounds fake. Like, that shit sounds made up. That shit sounds like the title of a fake game that is put in an anime for a gamer character to play. Like, that's like.
She said, "I'll go take a picture right now."
All right.
Go for it.
Lady Sia looks really cool. I'm looking it up right now.
Oh man.
But yeah, Landon, your thoughts on the
Graphics
Game Boy
are
Advance?
A little funky. Game Boy Advance, baby. Classic system. Classic
system.
Classic.
Game Boy Advance goes.
Classic.
Boom.
I would say the only issue I have nowadays is the size. I'm mostly talking about the Game Boy Advance SP because that's what I had. So, backlight in there, baby. Rechargeable battery in there, baby. But mostly like my adult hand.
Yeah. Like,
oh yeah.
Like, even me, and I have small hands. Like, my hands are like touching each other and they're like all over this shit just to hold it.
I have large hands and the Game Boy Advance SP is tiny. This thing fits in my palm.
This is a palm size console.
Literally in the palm of your hand.
So that would, I would say, is like the only issue is now that I'm an adult, this is very small.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, it's a great system. It's portable, especially the Game Boy Advance SP. I can actually put it in my pocket, which I can barely do with my phone.
Yeah,
so
it is funny. Like, when you think about it, like it has a smaller profile than a phone, and that's pretty impressive.
Like when it's folded out, yes, it's about the same size. But
it is the same, just about.
But when it's folded up, it's very portable. The only issue is because the buttons are in the middle, you have to like knuckle.
Yeah, you have to fucking.
Yeah, if you're like, it sucks. So like one thing that I didn't mention, it is interesting that a lot of people in like the community for like Game Boy Advance that love Game Boy Advances, they've been modding like the base model to add backlights because that form factor is just so much more comfortable, like having the buttons on the sides. So
yeah.
Or you rip off the top of a Nintendo DS.
Yes.
Or DS.
You can rip off the top of a DS and just make sure that it's set to load the Game Boy Advance on the bottom screen, and you're good to go. You got a Game Boy Macro. Yeah. That's what they call it.
Which is funny.
It is funny.
There are options out there for like playing Game Boy Advance games not on original hardware that is slightly more comfortable. But like this is I still think this is awesome. There's probably things I would probably change about our list of like top game systems, but I think this might still stay around the like 4th spot. This is definitely still probably one of my top 5 systems of all time.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I spent, probably close to 600 to 800 hours of Pokemon on it. But
yeah,
I mean, so did I.
The buy-in.
I spent
it's
over 1,000 hours across like, that was just when the Game Boy Advance was new. Like, that's just that.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I also spent. I mean, some of it got put into the DS by that point, but like I was playing on one of these and on a DS, and I was also trading between my Game Boy Color. So like I put a lot of time into handheld during that era. So yeah, I love the system. I think it's great. I think the library is lacking in some aspects. Like you don't have an original Mario platformer, but you have Mario versus Donkey Kong, and also like you don't have a Super Mario platformer that's original, but you have Mario versus Donkey Kong, you have Mario and Luigi, Superstar Saga. So you have some pretty good core stuff. Kirby had
Nightmare in Dreamland, the remake of
I was gonna
of
say
Kirby's Adventure. There's a lot of good remakes. A lot of good remakes.
there's a lot of great remakes and ports. So you have that Donkey Kong Country games are among that. Link to the Past is on that list. Metroid Zero Mission is solid. So yeah, it's a wonderful portable Super Nintendo.
It really is.
Yeah.
So that said, what you been up to, Jack?
What have I been up to?
These last 2 weeks.
These last 2 weeks. Let's see. On the 8th?
Yes.
8th, yes. I went up to my second home, as it were, of Detroit.
You do go out to Detroit a lot.
I have friends up there. It's a lot of my high school friends like live up there now, so like I have, you know, a reason to go up there a lot, but also because like it's like probably outside of Indianapolis, which is, you know, a decently sized city but gets fewer shows than Detroit does. I go to Detroit a lot. And in Detroit on the 8th, I went to go see one of my favorite bands of all time, Boris, the heavy metal rock, stoner metal, drone metal, whatever you want to fucking call them. They're heavy music, very loud, distorted, very loud. But I went to go see Boris. They're doing their fucking anniversary tour for their album Pink that came out in 2005, and they were fucking incredible. I love that band so much. They're so loud and so heavy, and they're great. They're from Japan, and they've been like touring and putting out music for like almost 30 years now, and it's pretty great. And I had a great time. I saw them play like 2 of their best albums front to back, and it was nice. Aside from that, not a ton going on. The main thing that I did, and this was mostly just in this past weekend, I bought this game. Yeah. Pokemon Legends ZA. Pokemon Legends Pizza, Nintendo Switch 2 edition.
Tell him, Jack. Tell him how you feel.
This game fucking rules, actually. Like I'm having a blast with this game. Like I only just started it on Sunday, and like I've spent all of the time that I've spent in this game so far has been just on Sunday and Monday, but I've put nearly 12 hours into the game already. And I really was just thinking about how like, man, I feel like I've been like trudging through Persona 3 for the last like several months, and I'm 60 hours in, and I feel like I haven't made a ton of progress. So I'm like, I'm putting it down. I'm starting up something else. I'm going to come back to it at some point, but for right now, I just wanted to start something new, start something like
that
fresh
wasn't tied to a stream.
Me like, yeah, exactly. And I'm having a lot of fun with this so far. Like I knew going in that like it's open world ish in the same way that Legends Arceus was open world, but with a much more like condensed, like
it's like it's a sandbox.
It's the whole thing. It's a sandbox, yeah. Like it's like I think of it like Grand Theft Auto, kind of. It's like one large city that you can like freely traverse and go anywhere in. And it has the fucking like the Xenoblade style combat system where like you freely move around and you select moves for your Pokemon to use that are on like a recharge timer, Like there's no PP. It just like takes however much time to recharge until you can use it again. And I've really been fucking with it, honestly. Like I'm having a lot of fun with the battle system. Like it's a very simplified version of like what Xenoblade is, but like I'm still having a lot of fun with it. I've been like in the 2 days that I've spent playing this game so far, I was like fully addicted. Like on Monday, I think I spent probably somewhere around 7 hours playing this game, and it's been a while.
That's impressive.
In one day, and it's been a while since I've played a game that much in a single day, and I haven't finished the game yet, and I've only just gotten to rank F.
I'm looking forward to you getting through the rest of the game because I want to hear your thoughts on a bunch of stuff when you get there.
Yeah, but like so far, this is like the most fun I've had with a Pokemon game in a long time.
Would you say it's your favorite Switch Pokemon game?
See, that I'm not sure about because I did enjoy Scarlet and Violet despite it being
what it was.
The way that it is.
Yeah. What it was.
Being Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah. Despite being the way that it is.
On the Nintendo Switch before a performance upgrade patch.
Yeah. I did enjoy Scarlet and Violet despite being the way that it is, but I think it's pretty safe to say that this will most likely end up being my favorite Switch Pokemon game. I've been having a blast with it, honestly. I think so far my team is Meganium, Ampharos, Fletchinder, which is almost a Talonflame. Let's see. It was I'm blanking on the rest of my team. I have a Heracross. I just got the Absol. I mean, spoilers for this game, but like you get a free Absol. Like at
it's
a pretty
early
the game. And
it's
I'm
the
like,
first one that you do.
Yes. This game is speaking to me personally by giving me this free Absol and Absolite.
Have you been able to mess with like the character customization yet with like the outfits and stuff you can buy?
Yeah. I like spending
I like how you could just start going to the stores whenever you want, just start buying shit.
Yeah. There's a ton of fucking clothing stores in this game, and honestly most of the money that I've been making through like battle zones I have been just funneling into buying clothes for my character because I'm like, what else is there to spend money on aside from like Pokeballs and healing items, which you don't, I mean, as far as I know, you can't use healing items in battle, right?
You can. They have a cooldown as well if you use them.
Okay, I glossed over it, but I've yet to actually use a healing item in battle.
I will say you might have to get into the habit of doing it late in the game because there are some tricky enough boss fights that like you might want it. But yeah, it has the same cooldown system. You go in to the menu when you're not in the middle of like an attack or something, and you can just go in and use the item, and then the item will have its own cooldown. But it's... Yeah, honestly, because of the fact that like they have a cooldown system for moves, it's like it's cool. Like you almost never need to go to like a Pokemon Center to heal if you just have potions, because you just heal the Pokemon with the potions and then they're already ready to go.
You never have to worry about PP, so it's like
no worrying about PP.
Yep. This game has zero PP in it.
Zero PP problems.
But yeah, that's I've been enjoying this a lot so far, I will say. And then shit. There goes the box. I dropped it. But aside from that, just last night I went with some friends to Detroit again. To go to a hockey game. I went to go see the Red Wings.
Not a show.
Play the fucking Seattle Kraken because all my friends are Kraken fans, and I'm like,
hey, I know that.
And I am like, yeah, all right, I'll go to fucking, like, we've done this before where like we go to specifically a Red Wings versus Kraken game because like we both get to root for the team that we like, and got to see the Red Wings win last night, so fuck yeah. That was fun. That's pretty much everything I've been up to for the last couple weeks.
I've been playing more Dragon Quest II HD 2D Remake. I started it and I got a little bit of the way in. last episode, but I'm pretty far in. I'm actually probably almost done. I'm like going through like I'm about to enter like the last area of the world map and like do the final dungeon sequence and stuff like that. So like I'm pretty close. My team's like in the low to mid 40s. I've been having fun with it. I did kind of fade in and out here and there just because I was coming off of 20 hours of DQ1 HD2D, and then I proceeded to spend like another 20 hours on DQ2. But I liked some of the story beats that this game has. Like it takes like some dark turns. It's got some really high impact moments. So that's been fun. I decided to splurge and through like a payment plan so I don't have to pay it all at once. I got Pokemon Coliseum on eBay, as I mentioned, and I went back to my file that was 15 years old and I finished the game. I was 17 hours in. Apparently, I was right near the end of the game. I was already at the final dungeon at Railgun Tower. So I was like, fuck it, you know what? We ball. And then I spent another 15 hours like grinding Pokemon, purifying a few things, getting a few shadow Pokemon that I could get that I missed. And I went through and I beat the rest of the game. And I have to say, mini review, I think that the recent pushback on this game as like not a good game can go fuck itself. This game's good.
Hell yeah, brother.
I do have a small problem with it, and my major problem is just like it is so restrictive what your options are, and there are some obviously better choices of what Pokemon to put on the team than others because they give you the fucking legendary beasts from Gen 2. But other than that, I think this game, one of the things that does really right that not enough people talk about, because it's an RPG, you know what RPGs really tend to like do good at that makes RPGs good is setting and world building. And the Ore region is really fucking cool and has like great world building to it. I love it. Uh, so even with some of the faults that Pokemon Coliseum had, I had a great time. I definitely think that this was a worthy addition to Generation 3. It's great. So I'm looking forward to getting back to Pokemon XD one day. I had about the same amount of playtime, apparently. I was like 18 hours in. I checked a file, didn't play through any more of it yet, but I'll get back to that. And then, other than that, I've been getting back to a couple of games that were released this year on Switch 2 just to play little bits and pieces, namely Fast Fusion and Mario Kart World because I've been in the mood for racing. So, been having fun with those a little bit here and there when I pick those up. That's pretty much it, though. Just Dragon Quest and Pokemon Coliseum, and just getting ready to grind through a bunch of 2025 releases because, God, there's going to be so many that I still haven't played yet. So. Landon, what have you been up to these past couple weeks?
Hi. Raising children.
Raising children.
That's yeah. I went back to work. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. When did that start again?
That happened. Last Monday. So
it's been about a week and some change.
Week and a half now, yeah. So that happened. It was like I never left, which is almost unfortunate. I walked in and I was like, oh no, I know exactly how to do my job. Bummer.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah, no grind back up to remember how to do things. I can just do my job.
Yep.
I guess that's kind of refreshing. Like you would think that in a fast-paced world that we live in, you go back to work, it's like, oh, by the way, we introduced like 3 new things you got to learn. Like at least that didn't happen.
There is a couple like little things that are different, but like yeah, I can pretty much just do my job. So there's that. I finished I forget if I like finished it before the last podcast or if I had finished it just right before, but like Dragon Quest 1 HD2D, I finished that up.
Yep.
So now I took a quick break and the break from Dragon Quest is going to be long, but I played a little bit more Once Upon a Katamari.
Nice.
I got to the 3rd world, which is the Jurassic period, and so it's just dinosaurs, which is awesome. because you do some time travel, timey-wimey stuff in this game.
Oh.
So you go from Edo, Japan to like the American West to the Jurassic period.
Nice.
Yeah. So I got there, and then I was like, all right, it's time to get back into it. So we're back into Trails in the Sky, first chapter remake, baby, game of the year.
Trails in the
Despite what
Sky.
fucker McFuck, I don't even remember his name right now.
Fucker McFuck.
Fucker Mc-
That's his name now.
I'm pretty sure that's what the internet's calling him. Jeff Bealey. Yeah, despite him not nominating.
Oh, Jeff Keighley.
Yeah,
Jeff Keighley.
Yeah.
Keighley.
Despite this game that got higher Metacritic scores than two of the games on the RPG list, we're just not going to include Trails because it's too niche for us. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. Oh man. In chapter 3 in Zeiss, it took me a week to get through the tunnel that connects the Ruan region to Zeiss, which great start to a fucking chapter, but that's also I went back to work. Also, yes, RIP Digimon Time Stranger 2. That also got absolutely snubbed with the Game Award announcements. But
I actually just got that as a gift for my girlfriend. She's been playing that a bunch. Apparently, she's already sunk like 15 hours or so into that game. And
Jesus.
I know Al said that he spent like a certain amount of time on the game, but she said she feels like she's going to end up spending like 100 hours on that game because she still hasn't digivolved anything.
That's, I mean, as long as she's having fun. That's
she's having a blast.
Yeah. Something tells me it's going to win at least a GamingStooges Game Award.
Nice.
We'll see.
Yeah. Depends on how much Cloud actually gets to play it or not.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, Trails, Tita's in the party now, doing all the side quests that open up after you oopsie with the black orbment, turn off all the power of everything. So making progress in there. I'm probably a quarter or so of the way through chapter 3. So yeah, excited to push through that. And then Kari got this thing for me. So I'll have to deal with this in
What
like
is that?
a week and a half. It's a Tea Lovers Advent calendar.
Oh, ooh.
You know what? I'm going to have to look into that because Bethany literally asked me for exactly that. Like she wanted an advent calendar for tea.
This
and I'm like, I got to look into that.
Made in Portland, Oregon.
Made with love in Portland, Oregon. Oh, there you go.
It
Made
is
right in your back in your backyard.
When they ship, days 1 and 2 are not inside the giant tin, which is why it wasn't closing. But if you put everything, it closes. I'm excited. I'm glad that there's a warning here. Contains caffeine. That means you know it's good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll let people know how that happens. And then I think this happened. When was the last podcast? It was right before.
It was on the 5th.
That was the last podcast? Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I was about to say I had a concert, but no, we had a concert before.
Honestly, it's that time of year.
Ago.
Like we're hitting like Black Friday. We just passed Halloween. Like this is that time of year where sometimes time just fucking flies and you just like, you look over your shoulder, boom, 2 weeks are already gone, dude.
Yeah. Like how the fuck are we already at the 19th?
I have a concert in, was it 3.5 weeks? 1, 2, yeah, 3.5 weeks. I have another concert. So like, it's crazy. This concert is going to be funky. We're playing one holiday piece, and I don't know how well that's going to go over.
Al mentioned beating Digimon Storytime Stranger in 50-something hours. Okay.
50-something hours, baby.
But he
Yeah,
also
so
skipped the side quest. Sounds like he skipped the side quest that got dumped on you right at the end of the game, and then there's like 20 of them. Jesus Christ.
that's a lot.
It's
But
a lot of
anyway,
side missions.
Trails has been fun. Trails is probably going to be my game of the year. It's so good. But I keep thinking about Dragon Quest 1 HD 2D because, God, that was fun.
It was a fun game. Good game.
Yeah.
We'll have a lot to talk about when we get to that episode. We're just a couple months removed from our big 2025 year in gaming review, so that's going to be
About
great.
2 months.
2 months, yeah.
Yeah. It's too bad Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is going to suck now. Because the internet
Apparently,
says it's going to suck.
I mean, we'll get your thoughts on it when that time comes. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Anyway.
everybody, for tuning in. But it's been a very advanced evening. I don't know what that means. Roll the outro. Good night.
Pokemon
Bye.
Advance.